Hello and welcome. Today we're doing a little bit of a different take on ham radio operations in the field here. Well, not quite exactly in the field, we're in the front yard, and I'm putting together a small comms kit for wildland firefighting and also for just emergency use in general. So there's a lot of things that we're working on to get up our digital side of communications going. I just got this Panasonic FZ-M1 in, and we have it running WSJTX currently right now, and I have JS8 call in there. And we have this wonderful program called NEMA Time 2 that tracks satellites, and I had to downgrade the software on this ToughPad, the FZ-M1, it's a Mark 1 to 8.1 Windows operating system, and then find all the drivers that would work with all this. Now luckily this came with a wireless Sierra card, a 7330 model, and we're able to access the NEMA port on it, which gives us this GPS data. And the antenna is here on the side here, so it's not the best antenna, but it is picking up the GPS signals here. We're outside, so we have a good coverage, although it's a little bit cloudy, and we do have some canopy cover above us. So what you're seeing here is all the information from the GPS unit showing up our grid sector. And the reason why we run this program, the NEMA Time 2, is because it syncs up our Windows clock with the GPS. So the timing is not off at all. And for those of you who don't know, what that means is that if your timing is off by a lot, when you go to use the digital modes, you could have issues. So you have to sync your clock up every so often. And when we're in the field, we may not be connected to the internet. So the only other way to sync up your clock on the Windows there is to have a GPS unit doing that. Now this gives you a high rate of accuracy, although right now it's still kind of dialing in a couple of things to keep it in sync. So, but it works fairly well. We're not connected to the internet right now. I got this little wireless keyboard. It's Bluetooth, it's got a mouse pad on it, so we can actually remote control this from a distance and show you what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and minimize this. And here's our graph here for all the signals on FT8 on 20 meters. We have the True SDX. This one's a pretty good small radio, 3D printed. We have a auto transformer, 49:1 on the end of here. Normally you don't hook it up directly like that, but for simplicity's sake, we'd have a piece of coaxial cable with that and probably a little bit further distance. But generally for these 49:1 auto transformers, that's this big black box here, you typically want to have a unchoked RF cable or coaxial cable rather, just so that it acts as part of the antenna actually. They're notoriously noisy because of that reason, but they're really good for the field because that's an end-fed half-wave system that we're using. What is an end-fed half-wave system? Well, it's half of wavelength of, say, 20 meters, for example, that we're using here, and it's fed from the end of the wire as opposed to in the middle of two wires, or one wire, so to speak. Because in the field, you may not have 2 points to hang up something, you may only have 1 point. So that is the benefit of using an end-fed half-wave system, or an end-fed system type in the field. Now, this is only a QRP rig. We do have some power here. We have a RC X60 or XT60 connector battery pack here. This is 11.1 volts. So we roughly get about 4.5 watts, 4 watts out of this True SDX with it connected into the DC port. Now the True SDX can be run on 500 milliwatts on the USB port, and it does work. I've made communications on 80 meters sideband with that on 0.5 watt with random wire. So it does work. Granted, the conditions were pretty nice, I believe. But getting back to the digital comm side of things, we have the power supply, which is sort of one of those talent cell lithium ion phosphate batteries, which I have here. It's like $50 or so, and an adapter to plug into the charging port of the FZ-M1. So now we have extended battery life in the field. Not that these batteries are bad on these models, they're pretty good actually. You can get about 1.5 hours, 2 hours of use out of it directly. But we're running the screen on bright, super bright, because we're outdoors. It's got an IPS screen, it works fairly well. And we're getting data. So this is what we're working on to have for our digital side of communications. Now we can run JS8 call on this. I'm still learning that, so I'm not going to show the full demonstration of that yet, but this is our tech side of the comm package on the HF side of things. We're still also working on the VHF side, which I want to use JS8 call for as well. We also have connecting as the intermediate between the radio and the computer is the DigiRig Mobile. I finally figured out how to get that to work with all the drivers. I do have one more thing to show you. This is our small comms package. It's kind of out of frame, but this is a Max Edition Proteus case. You can see it's hooked up with all these different radios. That's our VHF package. We're going to redo that so that it can integrate with the Panasonic FC-M1 digital HF package, so they can all be in one package where I can just grab it and go into the field and deploy out whatever I might need. Here we have the WSJTX in receive mode we're monitoring currently, but let's go ahead and change my mode on the TrueSTX up here just to make sure we are tuned up correctly on the 20 meter band. It's always good to check. PTT, we're at SWR 1.5, so it likes it on 20 meters. That's good. And let's go back to USB mode. And let's go ahead and find ourselves a place on the waterfall here. We also have ham grids up, or grid tracker rather. So you can see on this little grid thing, it doesn't work it does work rather without the internet. And we can see some of the contacts that I've made throughout a day or two, and you can see like which stations are talking to who, what, and where, which is really nice in the field. You kind of get an idea, okay, where you're communicating from. And it's a lot of fun to see the different kind of stations that are coming in, especially if you're on a mountaintop, for example, with this, doing POTA or SOTA. You kind of see the stations that are trying to contact you and contacting each other, so you get an idea of how the propagation is. That's the whole point of this map part here on the Grid Tracker 2.0. Let's get back to WSJTX and let's try to see if we can make a contact or two, or just at least demonstrate it. So this waterfall is pretty populated. I'm going to find an empty spot just to set up here. Again, I'm using my little wireless USB keyboard. Pretty nice. That has a trackpad and a keyboard in it, which makes this a lot easier to do instead of touching with your thumbs. There's other better keyboards out there for this Panasonic, but currently I don't have access to that. All right, let's kind of set up my receive and send on different a little bit. And let's go ahead and start calling CQ. We have these text preloaded macros. I'm on the bottom here, which is down here. It sends out my CQ from my call sign. And I'm going to go ahead and try to enable text. And there it is. So we have all these stations we're receiving on the left here. The green ones are the ones that are calling CQ like I am. So I could theoretically click on them, call them, and they might answer back. But we're going to call CQ here. And it pops up under the yellow little part here. I don't know if you can see that with the camera, but you can see who else is around calling for things near your frequency. So this is our text frequency and receive frequency area. And we're just making a couple of calls. There is a thing called PSK Reporter, and you can look up that online, pskreporter.com, I believe. And they have a map, which then you can see who is receiving your signal. They might report it if they have that enabled. So you can see a map of the stations around the world who are actually hearing your signal and at what signal strength they're doing, which is quite fascinating to kind of play around and to see how well your station's getting out. For us, again, we're doing a QRP operation here. Nothing crazy, but for digital, QRP is fine. It gets out pretty decently, actually, on just a small amount of power, surprisingly. So probably how I work this is I look at the signal strengths, and if they're pretty good, chances are with a QRP setup, I might be able to contact them. But you never know. You can always try to work harder stations. It's a challenge. That's part of the fun with this. Some might say it's not very fun because it's automated. And that is true to a degree. I'd rather talk to somebody personally. I'm a sideband guy. But all right, it looks like he's giving me a report back. That little red there is saying it's a -18, so I am making it to him. And I am telling him in the response here, W4 LJT, KC2BW, read him at R11, -11 for signal strength. So we just basically give a signal strength report, say Roger, Roger, 7.3, which is goodbye in layman's terms, and that is the entire QSO, or the operation. Look at that, it said 7.3. So we just logged them in here. I'm going to keep in my logbook. So we made a contact with WSJTX with our setup, the True SDX and the QRP setup. And there we go, we got logged in here. It's a little bell to remind us that we just made a contact. And there you go, another example of WSJTX working fairly well. Let's check the grid tracker here and find out where I was talking to. Oh, okay, down this way. He's in Echo Mike 95 land. So south of us, towards the Carolinas and Tennessee area. And again, this is all done offline, which is quite nice. So the band is opening towards the Midwest area, west, I'd say, and then also a little bit over towards Europe. So that concludes our demonstration of the digital side on WSJTX, at least. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching that. I want to thank you for watching, and enjoy your day.